Hey guys! Welcome to this week's review of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 12, Episode 6. Let's get into it. Okay, so as you know, the ladies they're still in Mexico, okay? And the episode starts off with all the ladies having breakfast. And actually, everybody was pretty pleasant with each other. Like Sutton and Crystal, they came first and they were talking to each other like yesterday didn't happen, apparently. They were totally cool. Even Erica was pleasant with Sutton, saying like, yeah, I can help train you for the bar and everything. And then that was also surprising. So that was a nice little breakfast with the ladies. So later on, they're divided between those that want to do a lesson versus the group that wants to go shopping. And guess which group Kyle is a part of? Kyle forever wants to go shopping. I don't know. Is it just me? But anywho, so they're doing their thing. I don't need to get into it, right? Because, nothing really interesting happened with the shopping or the surfing. But it was cute to watch. But you know how it is. Let's get into the drama. Let's get into the mess, right? So the surfing group was, of course, Erica Jane, Crystal, Lisa Rinna, and then I don't know about the new girl Diana or whatever. I think she was doing her own thing, but she later joined the surfing gang. The shopping gang consists of Kyle, Garcelle, Sutton, and of course, Dorit. Of course, Dorit is going shopping, right? And both groups are essentially talking about the Crystal versus Sutton fiasco. And let's go over to the surfing gang, okay, with Erica Jane, the leader of the surfing gang. It is so obvious that Erica Jane, she doesn't like Sutton, so she's stirring up shit. She's trying to put she's trying to put the battery in Crystal's back for her to like go and cuss Sutton out and go and you need to tell your side and blah 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 blah. And Crystal's doing the same thing that she did the day before. She's being really quiet. She's crying, and I just like, I get it, right? Like in certain situations, don't get me wrong, I can be a Crystal. I'm very emotional. I cry when I am upset. So I get that. I'm not judging that. Is the thing that I'm judging is her just being so quiet about it. She's not saying anything. And it's not like you're in front of the person that you're having the confrontation with. Because I also get that maybe confrontation makes you uncomfortable, yada, yada, yada. But you are now in front of your friends or your allies. Like, this is the time for you maybe to more so open up. Open up with where you were coming from. Explain your situation, something. But she was just shutting down. And I could be wrong, but it's giving me... I don't think she lied, right? Lied is maybe not the best word. Which is funny when it comes to Crystal and word usages. I think she exaggerated, right? Now, maybe Sutton said some cringe-worthy things, Sure, fine, yeah, I can agree that maybe Sutton said cringe-worthy things or whatever. But Crystal hyped it up to 1,000. She did a little too much. And it's just coming off that, like, Crystal is realizing that maybe she misspoke again. Like, using the word dark was a little too much. So now that it's her time to speak up or say something, she can't speak up or say something because she can't justify the word that she used. And she knows that she's wrong. And it's like, I wish she would just, like I said in my last review, I don't want to repeat myself, but I'll summarize it very neatly. Just own up to it. Just admit that, okay, maybe I spoke pretty strongly, but this is why I felt uncomfortable, and explain it. And you know what? Some people are going to hear your explanation and they're going to say, well, I think that that wasn't that bad, and maybe you're being a little too sensitive, and yada, yada, yada. Like, people are going to have their reactions, but if that's how you felt, just own it. Just own the moment, deal with the consequences, and so that everybody can move on. But like, the more you're just shutting down and crying and just being silent, the more you turn it into a mystery. And you know how the audience is, and you know how Andy is when it comes to the reunion. Like, you're not gonna get away with that. You're not gonna get away with shutting down and crying. Like, Andy, like, that's not acceptable. You're gonna have to say it eventually. So I think it's probably gonna be more embarrassing for you to say it during the reunion, okay, when everybody's there and everything's played out. So I would do it now. I would do it in front of your friends versus later on down the road. So yeah, I don't feel like she's shutting down because she feels scared and she feels like the girls are mean and they're bullies and da 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 da. I just think that she realizes that she effed up. And I didn't like how they're trying to make Sutton out as if she's like Erica Jane. And even Crystal was like, Sutton is relentless, Sutton, she goes in and she doesn't stop. And listen, Sutton is not perfect, but I wouldn't describe Sutton as relentless, especially in this situation. Like, Sutton, throughout her scenes, has been trying to kind of be like, you know what, I don't trust her, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna beef with her. I don't want to keep talking about it and going in on her, and it is what it is. Like, I feel like Sutton is trying, if anything, to diffuse the situation. And is she trying to diffuse the situation because she's such a great girl and she's best friends with Crystal? No, I think part of the reason she's trying to diffuse the situation is because, let's just be real, she's being accused of being racist. And especially in this day and age, which is an amazing thing, actually. It really is. Let's take a moment. But in this day and age, nobody wants to be associated with being a racist, okay? Like, nobody wants to be called that. So she kind of does, she knows how this thing works, right? We all know how this thing works. She doesn't want this to become a storyline. She doesn't want this to blow up and become this major thing. So she may not trust Crystal right now. She may not even like Crystal that much, but she feels like it's in her best interest to just shut this thing down and move on, so her name isn't associated with racism. But of course, it's the other ladies in the shopping gang, especially Kyle and Garcelle, that are kind of like pushing. I don't think they're pushing it to make it a bigger deal than it is. I actually think their concerns are valid. You know what I mean? If there is a friend that is going around essentially telling lies about you or exaggerating things about you to make you look bad, that's a serious concern. That's not something that you just brush off, right? And I can see how they may feel like Sutton isn't really holding Crystal accountable. However, I feel like in last week's episode, Sutton made it clear and she said what she had to say. I feel like Sutton got it all out at that point. But Crystal is the one that kind of shut down and didn't say anything. So I don't really think Sutton needs to say or do anything more. At this point, it's all on Crystal, right? So I hope that, like I said, I don't feel like Kyle and Garcelle are necessarily trying to push Sutton into a beef. But I would hope that instead of giving Sutton all that energy, I think they need to give Crystal that energy, right? I think they need to double down on Crystal and be like, you need to fully explain what went down and what happened, because that's not okay what you did. That's not Sutton's responsibility at this point. Sutton expressed herself. It is what it is. Like, I understand why Sutton doesn't want to keep going in, because like I said, who wants to be associated with being a racist and be continuing on with that conversation, especially if you know it's nonsense? Like, no. No. Both parties, both gangs, the surfing gang and the shopping gang, they both talked about the rumors. Like, Lisa heard about it, Kyle also heard about it, and so apparently Crystal fell out with 14 of her friends. Now, I get it. Shit happens. I 100% get it. I'm not judging. Like, I'm not judging her based off of, like, we all know that groupthink is a thing, right? And we know, like, if you're not the popular one in the group and you're kind of shunned, everybody, not all groups, but sometimes everybody in the group ends up shunning you, even though you may have problems, say, with 1, 2, 3 people within the group. But if the people that you have problems in the group with are the more influential members, then because of the popularity of those people, they are able to kind of push you out and turn everybody against you. So I'm not going to necessarily say that it's Crystal's fault. You know what I mean? But where there's smoke, there's fire. You know, if enough people are saying, yeah, Crystal is like this, she does this, and we are actively seeing that play out on the show, and Crystal's just shutting down, she's not saying anything, it's kind of like, it doesn't look very good for her. It's starting to look like maybe there's some truth to the rumors. Now, I know there's multiple sides to a story, so I'm not, until I hear the full thing, I'm not gonna, like, put Crystal under the bus, but it's not looking good for her. It's not. And, like, back to Erica Jane, it's like, it's very clear. It's very clear that she's just trying to get somebody against Sutton. She's trying to get somebody on her side. Like, because the way that Erica Jane spoke in previous episodes about the situation, you can tell that she's fully not on Crystal's side. You know what I mean? And she even at one point said, it's not about whether you're right or whether you're wrong. It's about telling your side of the story. So she doesn't really care about that. She just wants somebody to go against Sutton. But separating the words from Erica Jane's mouth, the person, I do get what she is kind of saying, you know, especially when she was speaking up earlier about being called a bully. She probably is a bully, if I'm gonna be honest with you, but I did kind of connect with what she was saying about women, like, you're expected to be agreeable and submissive, and, like, sometimes if you speak up or you stand up for yourself, then it's like, you're a bitch, you're a bully, you're a this, you're a that. And maybe it's hitting me in a way right now because I recently been through something where I spoke up about something. I didn't even speak up aggressively. You know, I spoke up in a half joking way, and this person kind of just flipped out. And yeah, I'm not going to go into too much details about my business, but they flipped out and it became this big deal. And it's like, a part of you is like, oh, maybe I should have just kept my mouth shut and, you know, not say anything because I don't want to rock the boat and I don't want to cause drama. And then another part of you is like, if I keep shutting down and shutting up, then this person is just going to be able to continue their behavior over and over again. And if it's rubbing me the wrong way and if it's offending me or whatever, like, don't I have the right to at least say something? Now, listen, I'm not perfect. It's not, and I agree with what Erica Jane is saying. Like, it's not necessarily that you're right and the other person is wrong. It's speaking up so that you and the other person can maybe potentially in the future find resolve and understanding, right? It's like both sides. Like I say something, you say something. It's a conversation. And then hopefully we can figure it out and come to a peaceful place. But if you shut down all the time and you never speak up, what's going to happen? You're going to just keep holding on to things. You're going to become increasingly more resentful. You're going to either become very passive aggressive, right? Or you're going to snap. So it's better to let things out in a constructive, healthy way. Not to necessarily be right, but more so just express what you're feeling. And unfortunately, sometimes when you're honest about what's going on with you, yes, there are quote unquote negative consequences. Things are not always going to work out in your favor, but I don't think your honesty should always be based on whether or not you're going to get in trouble or not, right? Or whether or not things are going to work out for you. All that, like, you, because you value being honest and speaking your truth, you're willing to risk those negative consequences. You're willing to risk looking like a fool in that moment. But I think long term, it will pay off for you, because with the Crystal situation, like, even if she's in the wrong, it can be a learning opportunity for her. It could be a lesson that maybe she needs to learn, and she can take it with her in the future. It's like, it's not all lost. I know, like, the audience, including myself, can be really judgmental, but we also have, like, short memories. Like, we will forget, we will move on. Everybody makes mistakes. Like, just own it so we can move on, basically. You know what I mean? So in that way, maybe I kind of get what Erica Jane is saying, right? And maybe also I get what she's saying because I'm kind of in my own situation. Not like Crystal's situation at all, right? Not like that, but I don't know. Right? Moving on. Oh my gosh, can I say this? Now, as I get older, I am becoming a little bit more open-minded to the supernatural, right? But the one thing that I kind of hesitate with believing in is mediums. I'm sorry. When Lisa Rinna said that the medium told her to look out for flocks of birds, and that is a sign from her mother. Are you messing with me right now? Birds? Flock of birds? You know how many birds I see every damn day? And are you going to really say every time someone sees a bird, it's your mother reaching out? This is why I don't believe in mediums, because of nonsense like this. I'm sorry. Now, let me walk it back a little bit. If it makes Lisa Rinna feel a little bit better, okay, then sure, why not? I guess you can say it's not hurting her. It helps her to feel a little bit closer to her mother. But birds? Really? Birds are a sign of, like, the deceased? Birds? When you see like, why can't it be something a little bit more unique, or something that maybe you don't see every damn day? So, like, something that has a little bit more meaning. Like, I don't know, if you see a flock of gosh, I can't think of any animals, but if you see a flock of frogs or something, I guess frogs are not something you see every day. Like, I don't know, something a little bit more unique, something a little bit more specific to Lois. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I just don't believe in mediums. I think they're kind of can be, I'm sorry, scammers. I said it. And this is why. Birds? Really? When you see birds? Come on. It's like, when you see clouds, that's a sign of your deceased mother. Clouds, like, they just come up with the most general, nonsensical, non-useful things. Like, but whatever. You know what? Like I said, it helped Lisa Rinna feel better about the situation. She found meaning. And if she found meaning in it, then kudos to her. Okay? Like, fortunately, in this situation, it's not harmful. Right? And Lisa Arena can afford to throw her money in the garbage. Okay, let me stop. Okay, moving on. So the ladies, they meet for dinner. Okay, and you know how these dinner scenes go, right? And it's so funny, actually, before the dinner, um, what's her face? Erica Jane and Lisa Rinna were FaceTiming with Kyle, and they were telling her that, like, Crystal cried the entire time. Like, she literally cried the entire time. And then when Kyle asked her, well, what was the worst part of, like, of the night? Like, why was she so upset? You know what they said? Oh, I don't remember. I don't know. You know why they don't remember and they don't know? Because Crystal literally said nothing. She absolutely, okay, maybe not literally, but she said close, very, 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 very close to absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. She just cried and cried and cried. And, like, the more this is going, I'm really over Crystal by the end of this episode. Like, I want to like Crystal. Okay, Crystal has likable parts to her, but the way she's carrying on is just hella, hella, hella shady. And she is turning me off. And that's a sign right there. When someone asks you, well, what was she upset about? What was she crying about? And you don't remember, you can't say why she was upset. You have absolutely nothing. And like I said, it wasn't like I understand if she was in front of Sutton and she was intimidated by confrontation. But you are with your quote unquote friends, okay? I use that word very loosely. But you are with your friends or your allies, and you gave absolutely nothing, absolutely no information, no insights. You're just crying, 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 crying. And it does come off manipulative. Like, it's starting to come off that way. I'm sorry, because it's like, we just have your tears and we are not getting anything. So we are the ones, like, we're going to have to fill in the blanks. And listen, Erica Jane and Entourage may fill in the blanks in your favor, but I'm sorry. I 1000% agree with Kyle and Garcelle. 1000%. Like, that's how I see the situation. Now, I could be wrong, but that's, like, I'm just perceiving, like, it as she is trying to be liked by the group, right? And her method of being liked by the group is to come off as a victim. That's her method, and it's working it's working for some, it's not working for others. So getting into that, getting to the dinner, right? Of course, they ask Kyle, because you know she has her producer hat in. She always has her little sneaky smirk when the drama commences. But she's like, so, what did you guys do after you went surfing? Knowing damn well what they did, because she just FaceTimed Erica and Lisa earlier about what they did, which was pretty much, they did Crystal's crying for an hour. You know what I mean? And then, of course, Erica Jane jumps in, you know, very enthusiastically, because, you know, she has a hard-on for Sutton. And literally for, like, the beginning of the dinner, Erica Jane and Lisa Rinna are speaking for Crystal. Yet again, Crystal is sitting there saying absolutely nothing. And Crystal and Erica are, like, stating her case. But just earlier in the scene, when Kyle asked them what was Crystal upset about, they say they don't remember. So you don't remember what Crystal was upset about, yet you're sitting right here speaking for Crystal and what she's upset about. And Crystal, of course, is there looking all meek and innocent and being super quiet. And it's so funny, because you think Erica Jane would be a little bit more understanding, because she just spoke up on this, right? But because Sutton is speaking up for herself, right, which Erica Jane just spoke about, as a woman, when you speak up for yourself, you get labeled a bully, right? And even Garcelle spoke on it as well. Like, when Crystal just sits there and says absolutely nothing, she doesn't stand up for herself, and we hear later on, like, she's crying and carrying on and all that jazz. It makes us look like bullies. It makes us look like bad guys because we're the ones talking up for ourselves. We are the ones, speaking on how we feel, and she's saying absolutely nothing. She's just crying. So, like, the optics of that looks bad. It makes Garcelle, it makes Sutton, it makes Kyle look bad. It really does. And I think because Sutton was more assertive, and kudos to Sutton, I she handled it pretty well. She handled the situation pretty well, and I like when she was telling Crystal, I need you to tell me that you're not going to do this again for us to move forward. And you could tell Crystal, like, was so hesitant to say this, and she had this little smirk on her face. It's like earlier you're crying, you're so distraught. Now it's like you have this, like, weird, almost evil smile on your face, like. And eventually Crystal does say, well, I'm not going to do it again to you. I won't do this again. And Crystal did. She slightly, very, very slightly owned up to the fact that, like, she's really bad with words, and that maybe she misused the word dark or whatever. So she kind of very, very lightly owned up to it a little bit, which, fine, you know what, I'm gonna give Crystal just a little tiny kudos, just tiny, because she did say it and she did apologize. It is what it is, right? And good for her for doing that, but, like, after you do that, I can totally understand why, like, if Sutton, Kyle, and Garcelle are giving Crystal the side eye a little bit. Like, I wouldn't trust that person again. Now, look, it's a group setting, it's also their job. So I think I could film with her and interact with her. But, like, you're never gonna trust that person again. You're just absolutely not. I also want to give kudos to Sutton for apologizing for bringing up her friends, her ex-friends, her ex-14 friends that dropped her like a hot potato. Like, I'm going to give kudos to Sutton for apologizing, but did she need to apologize? I guess to smooth over the friendship, but with Erica and Lisa, I feel like they were kind of using that as a reason to be mad at Sutton, neglecting the original reason why this whole mess started in the first place. Like, Crystal started it and she was in the wrong. Like, she just sat there and admitted that she may have used the wrong word, and you guys just bypassed that, and now you want to focus on what Sutton said about her friends. And I feel like, was it nice what Sutton did? Sure, fine. It wasn't nice. It wasn't kind. I'll give you that. But Sutton just didn't spew this out of nowhere, right? There was a reason why Sutton said what she said. Sutton was defending herself. And her way of defending herself was to say, well, Crystal, you have a pattern of doing this. I'm not the only one that you're doing this to. So that was Sutton's way of calling her out. But I get why she would apologize, you know what I mean? But I don't even think Crystal was really bothered by that, I feel, and even that whole situation, like, okay, her friends are not on the show, so I understand her not talking about this situation, but, like, it is a little bit suspicious why, like, she's just super quiet about it. I don't even think she addressed it at all. At all, like, nothing. All she's pretty much said is this what you know or what you heard? And that's it. Like, I think there's a way that you can kind of low-key address the issue without really addressing the issue. Now, like I said, I'm not going to make my final judgments on the situation because we don't have all the facts, but I'm going to have to agree with Erica Jane when she said, when you're quiet about something, you leave us to fill in the gaps. It just looks suspicious to me, her being super quiet about it. It really does. Like, I don't know. I don't know about Crystal. And like I said, I 1000% agree with Garcelle and Kyle in this situation and the points that they made. It feels like she's trying to play the victim. She really is. And Kyle had it right when she said, "Well, she put herself in this situation." She did. So you can't put yourself in a situation and then when it backfires, play the victim. You have to own it. You just have to own it, take accountability, and move on. Which Crystal did kind of do. Crystal did give an apology to Sutton. Sutton seems to receive it, you know. Sutton is honest, like we're on ground zero. We're starting again to build this friendship, but it seems like Sutton does like Crystal. And I don't think Crystal is a bad person. I think we all, like everybody, we all have certain strategies that we use to get people to like us. But those strategies, they can be harmful. They really can, because at the end of the day, you want people to like you for who you are, not because you're trying to manipulate them or try to get them to feel sorry for you or whatever. Like, that's not going to last long. Eventually, people are going to see what you're doing, and you the opposite effect is going to happen. You're going to turn people off. They're not going to like you. It's just better to be yourself, and whoever freaking likes you in the group likes you, and whoever doesn't like you, oh well, that's like perfectly okay. You don't have to be liked by everybody. You truly don't. Not in real life and not on reality television. You really don't. As long as you don't, isolate yourself from everybody in the group. But you are, like, Crystal's gonna end up isolating herself from everybody in the group if she keeps on going down this road. Because, like, once you get labeled as someone that is kind of will tell lies on people, like, no one's gonna F with you. No one's gonna want to talk with you. No one's gonna want to deal with you. Because, like, who knows what you're going to say about people? Who knows? Like, nobody wants to deal with that. I wouldn't want to deal with that. So, moving on. So, like, Sutton was handling everything really well. I'm actually, Sutton started off a little bit rocky with me with the Dorit situation. I'm going to be honest with you. But how she's handling this situation compared to, like, previous seasons, I was proud of her. Until we got to Diana. And I'm not a fan of Diana. But we'll talk about that after, right? But I just think she was on 10. And, oh yes, this is what I'll say. When when Sutton was like, I want to like you, I do like you, and I want to be friends with you. It's just that, like, you're going to need to stop doing this. If you keep doing this, I don't know how we can move forward. Right? And then Crystal, yet again, I feel like Crystal was nitpicking. Crystal and Diana were nitpicking a little bit with Sun when Crystal was like, oh, well, yesterday you said you hated me. And I get that's what Sutton said, but come on, it's the context. Don't lose the context. Like, pretty much Sutton was saying, even though I'm upset with you right now, I do genuinely like you when we get along. I just hate what you did. I hate you right now for what you did. You know what I mean? But listen, if we're going to give Crystal a hard time for her words, then okay, we're going to give Sutton a little bit of hard time for her words. I get that, but I feel like with Crystal, I feel kind of just, especially with that situation, she just overreached. Because like I said before, I don't doubt that Sutton may have said something cringy or uncomfortable, or she may have committed a microaggression. Like, I have no doubt in my mind. Like, I could totally believe that. You know what I mean? But Crystal, like, super, super duper overreached with the way she described it. I feel like that. And not only with the way that she described it, it was the fact that her silence afterwards was probably the worst thing that she did, versus not even using the word dark, but the fact that she dropped that word and then didn't expound on it or explained it or anything. You know what I mean? But you know what? Let's not be hypocritical. If we're going to be hard on Crystal with her words, we got to be hard on Sutton. Even though I get what Sutton was trying to say. I truly do. Like, and I agree with Sutton. I agree with Sutton's sentiments. And I do feel like Crystal was just kind of yet again finding a way to be a victim. Like, you get what she was trying to say, like, and you understand why she was upset with you, right? But like, I think Crystal doesn't want to be the bad guy, so she threw that back in her face. And of course, because Diana is her friend, Diana then goes and she runs with that. And Sutton, I don't even think Sutton really lost it on Diana that much, but I feel like it would have been a little bit smarter for Sutton to relax. Sutton got intense, but then I kind of get why Sutton got intense, because it's like, you started this situation and then now you are kind of throwing it back in my face, me reacting to something that you started, and now you're nitpicking my words. You know what I mean? When I feel like Sutton, with this situation at least, has been very consistent throughout. She has been able to say what she wanted to say directly to Crystal's face. When Sutton was speaking about the issue behind Crystal's back, or not to Crystal's face, I feel like Sutton didn't talk shit. I think Sutton has been gracious throughout this whole entire situation. So I feel like Sutton is trying really, really hard. So when they kind of threw that back in her face, I feel like Sutton was at her breaking point and she had absolutely zero patience left to deal with Diana. You know what I mean? And so she storms off. Sutton storms off. She loses it. I wouldn't say she lost it, but she was frustrated. I totally understand why Sutton was frustrated in that moment. But you know, Kyle went after her as like a good friend and calmed her down. And yet again, kudos to Sutton. She came back to the scene. She apologized to Diana and said, "Look, I'm sorry. I was a bit much. And Crystal, let's just move on." So I'm going to give props to Sutton for that situation. I am. And Diana, her crying, I feel like that was genuine. Like I get it, cuz I'm the same way, you know, if you're dealing with a confrontation or things get heated and you're really upset or whatever, you may start crying, and I don't think that's a weakness at all, or that you're not strong enough or whatever. Like, I truly don't. So it's completely okay. And like, I can relate to Diana as well when Dorit was like, "Oh my gosh, don't do that, what are you doing?" And it's like, if you're not really comfortable with crying, because like a lot of us, and I'm one of them, we've grown up in situations where you're told not to cry, and that like it's a form of weakness and yada yada yada. So when you are vulnerable and you're breaking down, the last thing you want is for someone to draw attention to it. You know what I mean? You kind of just want to, you know, shrink in the corner and you kind of dry your tears and blah blah blah, right? But but at the end of the day, you know, you have nothing to be ashamed of because you cried. And like, sometimes you just need to let it out. It is what it is. You know, and it's good to have people around you that care about you and that are going to comfort you and everything. So yeah, and like I said, and the same thing with Sutton. She broke down, she cried, she lost it, right? But like, once she released, I'm not going to say she lost it. She released, okay? I'm going to use the word release. Once she released all that energy and whatever, she came back and she said what she had to say. And I think that's the difference between Sutton's tears, right? At least specifically in that situation, because I feel like Sutton can, especially the last season, but in this situation, that's the difference between Sutton's tears and Crystal's tears, right? Because Sutton cried and everything, and she let it all out, but then she came back and she communicated everything she needed to communicate, sorry. versus Crystal, she just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried, but didn't let anything out. So you can still tell that everything is still there bubbling up. And I guess we're going to hear about it next season. Next season we're going to find out how Crystal felt. Not this season, but the next season. So it is what it is on that front. I think I covered everything pretty much. Yet again, this is a decent episode, and yet again, kudos to all the ladies for doing their job. But before I say goodbye, actually, let's circle back to Diana. And this, what was the book called? Room 23. And it was a book of pictures of celebrities, right? And I remember reading this as well, that this book was actually a call book or whatever, where, you could look through the book and you can see all these, young female celebrities. And if you want, you see something you like, you can contact her and she can, make an arrangement. I've read that. Now she's saying it's a complete lie and that is just a rumor and people just ran with it. I'm not, look, I'm going to give her a little bit, just a bit of room for the benefit of the doubt, right? I'll give her a little bit of room because at the end of the day, I don't know this woman. I truly don't. So I can't say what it is or isn't either way. You know what I mean? But I remember reading about Harvey Weinstein before Harvey Weinstein and, before he got called out for all the shit he was doing. I remember reading about it. Okay? And I'm not even in Hollywood, okay? I'm nowhere near Hollywood. And I heard about it before it became a big thing. Right? And there's just been multiple situations where, listen, I know the internet and social media and gossip sites and all that stuff can be flawed, and blind items as well. I get that. But, if you keep reading of something over and over and over and over and over again, I'm just sorry. There's just been way too many situations where you hear about things and then maybe a couple of years later, it comes out and it becomes super public. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. It's kind of like when there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm sorry, her explanation, her body language, her expression, everything, I'm not convinced. I'm truly not convinced. You know what I mean? So it is interesting to see that Bravo knows about it. Of course they know about it. Of course they did their research. You know what I mean? And I think the same thing with the ladies. That's why they kept bringing up her book, right? Room 23, because I feel like they know the rumors and I feel like they're trying to get her to talk about it because they know that it will make good television. But like I said, I don't think sex trafficking should be used for our entertainment. I don't. And I feel like this is going to backfire on Bravo. If it's found out that there's any truth to this situation, this is going to make Bravo look completely bad because, like I said, I don't even think this should play out for our entertainment. Absolutely not. They shouldn't even have her on the show at all, because this is just not, I guess it's one thing. Listen, okay. If the celebrities that she used were adults, okay, and they were grown and they made their own decision to engage in transactional then then I think it's okay. You know what I mean? Fine. Right? And okay, maybe that can play out for our entertainment. But if, I don't know, if we find out later that there's anybody that is underage, or not even underage, because that's arbitrary. Because you go back 50 years ago, underage would be 10 years old, versus today it's like 16, 18, blah blah blah. So like the ages are, the age of consent keeps changing, but regardless of what the quote unquote law is and what legally you would get in trouble for and what and whatever and what is an adult, like who's considered an adult legally, like just take that out of the equation. I just it just rubs me the wrong way when you take somebody that's like super young and like they could be 20, they can be 21, and especially if you're in Hollywood and they want to be an actress and they want to make it in this business, right? And you kind of use that to manipulate them, and because they're naive and don't have as many life experiences, and you tell them stuff like, oh yeah, if you do this then you will get this job, and like, oh, come and travel over all over the world, especially like if some of these young people are coming from like trauma backgrounds and upbringings, and it's like you kind of take them on and take on this like motherly sort of persona, like, yeah, I'm gonna help you and this is so amazing and da 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 da, and you're kind of using them to make money. And I just, legal, is it legal, is it moral, is it ethical? I don't know. It is can be kind of gray when once someone's past the quote unquote legal age, but just for me, I still don't think it's right. I still don't think it's okay. And I don't know, like Bravo better know what they're doing in this situation. And look, if I'm absolutely wrong, I do apologize to Diana for like, because I do feel kind of bad, like, spreading this information out there. And that's why I do say allegedly, right? Because at the end of the day, which I didn't say allegedly, so let me just say allegedly now. Because at the end of the day, we really don't know, no, or I don't know, no. But if there's any truth to the allegations that are out there, everything will come to light, eventually. Especially you're on a show like this, people will come out of the woodwork and they'll speak on it. And we'll see how this plays out. We will. I don't know. And if nothing comes out and we don't hear anything, then that must suck. That must suck that this kind of thing is out there about you if it's not true. But we'll see. Anyways, comment down below, like, what do you guys think about this situation? Do you think there's any truth to the allegations? And number two, or point two, or question two, do you think that morally she is wrong? If she was a madam, right? Do you think morally, oh my gosh, do you guys think that why can't I get this question out? Take three. Do you think morally that she's wrong for it? Like, if these guys, like, let's just say these are grown women and they choose to prostitute themselves, if like that's what they decide to do, and she helps to facilitate that, is she morally wrong? Is that okay? Tell me what you guys think. Comment down below. And also, please like and subscribe. And that's everything, folks. See ya.